Showtime! The Capital G Show starts right now.
What's up YouTube, Capital G here, once again doing another episode of Yugioh Marketwatch. Going to talk about some cards that have seen huge price fluctuations recently, and then I'm going to give my advice to people looking to pick up these cards or potentially move them and just, potentially help you guys save some money here and there. Alright guys, so let's get things started with Breakthrough Scale, probably the most talked about price spike that we've seen recently. The card is currently running about 40 bones, and the interesting thing about Breakthrough Scale is for all the hype and hoopla pre this card's release, it almost seemed like it flopped. It didn't see a lot of competitive play when it first came out, and the card was only running about $10 on eBay. And then the emergence of Elemental Dragons happened, and this card found its perfect home. Not only did it give the deck extra copies of Effect Veiler, essentially, but, it gave it answers to Ophion, during the Elemental Dragon player's turn. Now, quite frankly, I'm going to give this card a sale, $40. That's pretty tempting. It's kind of hard to walk away from. I don't think that it is absolutely a necessity in the deck. It's been shown in the OCG time and time again that there are about 4 or 5 really good traps that most Elemental Dragons can run, and again, this isn't a necessity. So I think if you have a set of these stashed away somewhere and you can get $120, you got to cash that in. Next up, we have Mermail Abyss Megalo, and oh how the mighty have fallen. This card is only running about $55 right now, and that's funny me saying only $55. If you guys remember last format where Mermail were widely considered the best deck of the format, Megalos were running about $120 a pop. This card has lost over half of its value in the span of about 2 months. Obviously with the emergence of Evil Swarm, Dragon Rulers, and Prophecy standing in the way, Mermail has lost some of its playability, not to mention a lot of its support, as players who were running the Mermail deck have obviously switched to these other archetypes. I'm actually going to give Abyss Megalo a buy, and here's why. I think that $55, quite frankly, is a steal for the card, and I feel like Mermails are still a really strong deck. I think that it's only going to take one really good showing in the TCG for people to start, slowly but surely hopping back on that bandwagon, and this card could probably end up around $70. If you look in the OCG, there was a 100-person tournament, and Mermails got first, so it shows you that the deck can still be a contender. You can still top 8 regionals. They can still top 8, YCS level, and I think that $55 seems like a really good value right now. Continuing the Mermail trend, we're going to talk about Glacia next, which is currently running only $10? Wow. Talk about the biggest plummet I have seen in a very long time. Glacia was running about $70 after its initial release in Abyss Rising, with good reason. I mean, not only was it just an amazingly powerful card on its own, but it fit well into the Mermail deck. It was a secret rare, so obviously the card was going to be expensive. A lot of people saw the fact that it had Delinquent Duo, it had a really, really strong attack, and it was just, quite frankly, I think that it's probably still the best Elemental Lord. Now, this card is still highly playable. I think I'm going to give it a hold, though, and I simply say that because, I don't know how much that people are really going to buy back into Mermail, even if they have a strong finish, but Glacia isn't necessarily a staple in the deck, so, I can't really think that just because Mermail starts seeing play again, this card's price is necessarily going to go up. So I'm simply going to give it a hold. Moving on, we have Droll and Lockbird, which is currently running about $10 to $12. This is up from its value of $5 prior to the release of Lord of the Tachyon Galaxy. Now, it's pretty easy to see why this card price has essentially doubled, and it's a really good answer to the Prophecy nightmare that we currently live with. You play this card at the right time, right after they play Spellbook of Judgment, and Prophecy essentially becomes a regular deck. It was also really useful in the OCG as far as combating the Gishki FTK. As long as Prophecy is in the picture, I think that this card's value is just going to slowly creep up. So I'm going to give this card a hold because, I'm hearing a little whispers about this card potentially becoming about $15. So, if you have a bunch of these, I think that you should hold them, try and milk as much money as you can out of, some of those vendors and whatnot. And hopefully if this card gets up to about $15 or so, then you can sell them. And last but not least, Fire Fist Bear, which is currently running about $20. This is down from the $40 price tag that the card had late last format. Now, I think that there are 2 major factors that you can attribute to this huge price reduction. Number one, Fire Fist as a deck and its inability to simply keep up with the meta. Let's be real, Prophecy and Dragon Rulers are just better, faster decks with more broken plays. And if you're looking for an anti-meta deck, I mean, I think Evil Swarm just does a better job overall. And the second is the diminished role of Bear within the deck. You know, a lot of people are playing the 3-access version of the deck where Bear just isn't really that important. I mean, a lot of versions only run 1 Bear, which means that, you know, no longer is the core strategy of the deck, you know, summon Bear, pop a monster, attack, search a Tinky, summon Bear, rinse, wash, and repeat. So with Bear having a diminished role in a deck that is really struggling to keep its head above water, I really don't think that this card is ever going to get back to the $40 value that it saw. So I'm going to have to give it a sell. Thank you guys for watching as always. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please give it a thumbs up if you did, and take care. Subscribing makes life happy.